We did do a video here not too long ago about the functionality and the designs of the kitchen. That did really well. If you haven't seen that, go back and take a look at that, because today what I'm going to do is take you through the process as if you are starting with a brand new home or a remodel. It's all still the same. There's a lot of decisions to be made, and this is the most important part of your house, is the kitchen. So I'm going to take you through what it's like to make the selections, where to spend the money and where not to, because it's easy to overspend, but there's little ways that we can make your house look like you spent money but you didn't. So there's some savings and some great ideas, but it's also very overwhelming, and when we get done with this, you'll be extremely confident on how you can make the perfect kitchen and selections for your house. So let's get started. So here we are inside the CKF showroom. This is beautiful. What these guys do a great job with is they have so many kitchens already put together that it will help you wrap your brain around some ideas that you want. And there's a lot of ideas here you probably didn't even know exist. That's the fun part about always building and remodeling, is that you get the latest and the greatest with the new stuff. When you come in here, you're not alone. They have people that will work with you on your design, draw it all up. But today, we're gonna make it fun. We're going to go through and look at all the different types of cabinets, and I'm going to show you where I think you should spend the money and where you shouldn't. So let's get started looking around here. There's a lot of decisions to be made on your house. So for example, check this out, hardware. That'll make your head spin. You got all these different colors. There's these new brass colors that are coming out. There's black, the bronze, the silver, the brushed nickel, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on. So to some guys, that just looks like a bunch of hardware, but the gals, that's jewelry, and that's what makes your house look really nice. So we don't pick that first, but I'm going through here to give you a sense of where to start so that you can stay focused. So we're going to start really with cabinet doors, but as we walk through, I might point out a few more things to distract you. Hey, a little sidebar that I like to tell people: when you're picking out the sinks and faucets, when you're picking out these faucets, there's all different kinds of brands and models and colors and styles. And again, that is like picking out jewelry, because the stuff can get very expensive. So I always ask my customers, they'll ask me, how come I only have a $700 or $1,000 budget for my kitchen faucet when the one they picked out was like $3,000 or $4,000, which I didn't know that stuff exists. So then I have to ask them, what faucet do you currently have in your house? And if they can't answer what it is or what color it is, that tells me it's not that important. Where people get distracted on and making their selections is that you're micromanaging the process. So when you see all these faucets together, you kind of want the best one. But once these are all gone, and maybe this one here's the least expensive one, and that goes in your house, does it really matter? Do you even remember? Because you can't remember what's in your house right now. Is it necessary to pick out the most expensive one? So keep that in mind. All right, now here's another distraction as you're coming through making selections. So these countertops, what they're finding out is people have cell phones, right? And if you set it down here on this little circle, it's starting to charge my phone. So they've got a couple of different options you can do, where you have the ones you can't see. Yeah, it's charging. Here's one that's really defined. Here's not so bright, and this is a little lighter color. So, and then my wife's calling me right in the middle of all this. Oh, sorry, I was calling her. Here's what it kind of looks like. So you pick out the color, but underneath your countertop, they're going to install this unit. And so when you lay your phone on the countertop, it's doing double duty. It's charging it, and I don't know, it looks good. So let me know your thoughts, what you think of that idea. That's fairly new. So now moving on, I'm trying to get to the cabinets, but here, more distractions. You got all these countertops to choose from. You got from different thickness of edges. Here's what they call the chisel edge. Here's like a 4-inch miter, a super thick one. Here's beveled bow mills. These are just the style of the edges of the counters. But then we got to help you pick out a color. All this here makes your head spins overwhelming. And really where we need to start before we pick any of that stuff out is in this section over here where the cabinet doors are. Check this out. There's different brands of cabinets that they have. We happen to be in the kitchen craft area, and there is a wide array of wood finishes, painted cabinets. Door fronts go on the cabinet doors, goes on the uppers. These is a recessed panel. This is a smooth panel. And then you start getting into all this stuff over here. So now we're what they call the signature series. This is maybe a little step up, a little higher end. And what we do is once we get all this kind of picked out, we sit down right here with your blueprints, lay it all out, and then we just start walking around the room to come up with a color that you think you might like. So it's a process that just because you pick one out doesn't mean that's the one you're going to go with, because as you pick out a countertop you like, it all has to match, so it all flows together. So when you're in this room of all these different styles of cabinets for base cabinets and uppers, a good way to kind of help you understand where you need to be budget-wise is ask the interior designer, what is the linear cost per foot? So you got your base cabinet, let's say it's 8 foot long. You want to go with this style of cabinet, she'll be able to tell you, hey, that might be $200 a linear foot, or if you upgrade it, it might go to $300 a linear foot. So you can then take that $200 a linear foot times 8, you're talking $1,600 for that base cabinet. Now the uppers are going to be a different price point because they're not as much cabinet there. They're only 12 inches deep versus 24. So try to get on a linear foot like you do. You go buy carpet or tile. How much is it per square foot? Well, how much is this per linear foot? Because they do the same thing with the countertops too. So once you have that number, you can calculate and estimate how much linear feet of base cabinets you have, how many uppers, and kind of get a sense of where your budget should be. Maybe you come in with a budget already and see how close you are to getting it. So if you're over budget, then we start taking out some stuff and modifying. But at some points, we want to make sure that if you're taking out stuff to where your house starts looking like you drop down several notches in price range, that's not a good thing. So prices go up, darn it, every single year. I've already getting people telling me, hey, call me, better make a decision here in the next 30 days because we have a 5 or 10% increase coming. So I always say the best time to build a house was last year. The better time before that was a year before that. So get on the bandwagon, start construction, get things going, because next year prices are going up, keep going up. It's just the necessary evil of the business. So the goal is to try to stay on budget, but sometimes in the kitchens, it's okay to go over. Let's go back and get started and act like we are now going to start making some selections. All right, so I know what you're thinking. How the heck do you make a decision with all these things on the wall? That's what most people think, and I think that's kind of the standard. To help wrap your brain around all these colors and what looks good and styles, let's walk through the showroom and show you all the different kinds of kitchens they have, because that will help the rep that's working with you get inside your head to get a better sense of what it is that you are wanting to do with your house. And then we can talk about the pros and cons of each cabinet, because there's different price points, and that's what we get into today. Some are very expensive that you may not even realize and doesn't appeal to you, and some are not that expensive that you like. That's perfect. So it's all about your choice, your taste. But what we try to protect you in this market, there's different price points of houses. It seems like the more expensive of the homes, really the higher standard that the next buyer should have, or maybe you're not there yet, but we're going to bring you up to speed. So we'll allow you to grow into your house and not feel like you made a mistake, that your house is already outdated the day you move in. So there's a little bit of kind of pulling you along in this process to get you to appreciate some of the more expensive cabinets and why they are more expensive. But again, if it's not that important to you, then we won't go there, but we owe you the opportunity to educate you on that so you don't make a mistake. All right, so what we have here is a couple of different styles of cabinets, and what you're seeing is people are mixing and matching. So the base down here can be, this looks like a maple stained wood. Up above is a painted cabinet. So you have the uppers and then the lowers. Here's a different style of wood, all right? And basically they all have the same hardware on them, and that's another note. They all have that exact same hardware, matter of fact, but it's a different color and style of wood, and then they painted the uppers up here. What we're seeing in a lot of homes as you get up in the price point is the microwave above here is gone. That's not the look. The better way is to create a hood over top so that it's doing its job. Let's find another spot for the microwave. Sometimes they're even going in the pantry. Some people aren't even putting the microwaves in because of the air fryers, but that's something we can talk about later. But again, this is your house, and it's important to have appliances not only that look nice and match, but you can also spend a lot of money on kitchen appliances, and we haven't even talked about that one yet. So over here is then the all-white kitchen. This is the affordable price point, and here's what makes it affordable that you may not notice. When you can see the back of the cabinet, this is called the cabinet box, this little trim piece down here, and when the door closes, you still can kind of see the edge of it, right? You have to spend more money for that to go away. That's where it gets more of a concealed front. We also have the concealed hinges. This is very standard now. Before, that was a very expensive upgrade, where you would always see the hinges on the outside. So the concealed hinges are kind of a standard. looks real great. I'm on a Blue Close monitor, and I need to have a Snicker bar. Maybe that chocolate chip cookie up front is calling my name. Look at that.
67.
Well, yeah. Geez, it's almost my age. God forbid. Anyway, that's another sidebar. Don't go to the doctor because they make you put stuff on your arms. Just stay put. All right, so these uppers, again, has that same look. So if you probably have this in your home, this is a very standard cabinet. If you're doing a remodel or a flip or something, and it's not a very expensive home, this is a perfect cabinet for something like that. It's safe, it's the white, it allows people, they don't really have an opinion one way or the other. When you go into the woods, then it's kind of more specific. Believe it or not, this is starting to come back into style. What was out of style 15, 20 years ago, for some reason it always finds its way back. I wish those platform shoes would come back that they had in the 70s. I could be a lot taller. I was taller in the 8th grade than I am right now. Okay, as we transition through, you're seeing we got the black, this is like an office, wood down below. Here, we're getting into what we call a rift cut oak. And oak typically doesn't look that great if you don't get it cut the proper way. We call it a rift cut. It's got these straight, smooth lines. It's a very expensive way to get oak. And again, here, to show you the difference, you can hardly see the back of the cabinets. It's a very tight fit. And by the way, drawers cost more than doors. So when you're doing a cabinet, these cost more money than doing the doors. Now, some of these doors, if this was an entertainment center like you have back in the day with the big TVs, sometimes these would slide back in. But now they have it where the drawers slide out. Probably great for like a pantry or an entertainment center, something for games. Because when you do these cabinets with doors, it's hard to reach back in there to get stuff way in the back, and having a drawer that pulls out makes a lot more sense. But again, you're spending more money. But it's functionality. What do you really want? Okay, so this kitchen drawing with the uppers, you can see it stops short of the ceiling. And this is more of a traditional ceiling, and we happen to be in that kitchen. So here we are. Instead of going all the way up tight to the ceiling, you run this crown mold all the way around. Now that's a look, right? And so this is more of a traditional looking kitchen. This is what we call more modern. You got the square top. It doesn't go to the top. So all uppers, you want to be minimum's 18 inches. I like to go 20, so you have a little extra room, and I always put lights underneath these. So then you have a 30-inch upper, 36, 42, 48. They just get taller and taller. So the taller they get, the more it costs, to a point where you better up your budget. When you get on this side, these are going all the way up to like a 10-foot high ceiling. It's a great look, but then you're going, how am I going to get up there? Nobody really cares about that because it's the look of a kind of a modern kitchen, and they don't like the idea that your kitchen tops stop short. They always say, how am I going to clean that? Well, you don't. Somebody else will maybe, but who cares? Just, you'll never see it. On the modern side, you can see they did a little bit of both. They ran these up to the ceiling, then they dropped these down to get different modern looks. So keep that in mind. But you can see they're quite a bit high here for these uppers. This is a 42-inch countertop. It probably serves more as like a serving counter because the traditional height is 36, 42. So this is interesting. Might be good for a buffet. You can see these doors, real modern, and you can get all kinds of dishes. Might be something you'd see in a living room, or I'm sorry, a dining room, what have you. So on your uppers, that's another place. You can maybe not have them, put in a wood shelf. You got to go at least 18 to 20 inches off the countertop. That's normal. And then are you going to go 30, 36, 42? They all come in 6-inch increments all the way up to the ceiling. So I think the high ones look better, but it's also cost you a lot more. All right, since my alarm went off and my blood glucose level is a little low, if you're shopping here, they can save your life. They have cookies made fresh all the time, and they're chocolate chip. I'm gonna say thank you, CKF, to take this little break, and I'll enjoy a chocolate chip cookie.
That's good.
Okay, so again, these are those cabinets that are gonna cost a lot more money. The term is frameless. You cannot see really the frame of the cabinet box because the doors fit tight together. And there's another little feature they do. This little extra band piece comes down, which allows you to put your under counter lights up in here. And they're actually on. I don't know where the switch is. Another thing to do that is very little money is put this light underneath here and take your outlets off your backsplash. I'm a huge advocate of that. This beautiful tile backsplashes and you have all these outlets poking around here. That can also go up underneath here. So keep that in mind. That's a secret and a tip that we do on every one of our houses, and not one person has complained about it. So then we get back to your appliances. You can do the stainless steel. That's still very, very popular. Now they have stainless steel that as the kids touch it, it doesn't make marks. So that's a good thing, something to consider. Here's one of those fancy faucets. You know, if you have to have the fancy faucet, I would spend the money here, and another place you'd spend it is in the master bathroom where you see and enjoy it every day. Other than that, just get a standard faucet that does this job. You'll feel like you cheated yourself when you're making the selections, but you're gonna love the price at the end. And once you move in, it'll be out of mind, out of sight, and you'll have more money in your pocket. Every kitchen, you know, has the kitchen island, and that is what the gathering area around all kitchens, right? So I'm gonna walk around here and show you. Here's something that we've tried in the past where your kitchen island doubles as a table, because this is now at tabletop height, which is 30 inches. Countertop height is 36. And then if you had a bar stool, that goes to 42. So all 6-inch increments, 30, 36, 42. So this one down here, people are not that big of a fan of, because you feel like you're down below. It doesn't feel right when you're sitting here and you're kind of looking up at people. As fun and interesting as it is, it just never really caught on. I've probably done this just about 2 or 3 times out of 600 homes, so that tells you something. Over here is kind of the standard, where the countertop and the island top is the same. Now they've done something a little bit different here in the showroom just to give people some ideas. So they just stepped it up a couple more inches to give it a sense of an island that separates the workspace. New features that are coming out, because we can't put outlets on the edge of the island thanks to code. So here is your plug-in outlet for phones, your blenders, whatever you're working on the cooktop. And then you hit this, push this down, it goes in pretty tight, because some of the people are wondering, what do you do when the dirt and muck gets inside there? So it's pretty tight around the edges. I'm sure it's gonna get in, but I don't have an answer to that. The people that built it probably don't have an answer for that either. They leave it up to us to figure that out. I'm still working on my chocolate chip cookie. Okay, here's a savings tip that I like to share with people, because when they do these big islands, they always want to put some really fancy or wood on this front here. In this case, 1, you can't see it. 2, you can't, if they wanted to put cabinet doors on it to get to it. So to me, that's a lot of extra money that sometimes people spend on a cabinet front. So there's other ways that you can finish this out, maybe where it's just a slab of wood. Sometimes we put tile. What you don't want is drywall, because it's going to get kicked, gets messy. So keep in mind, when you do have this on here, you don't really have to overspend, because if you went this route, where it's a freestanding island, then it looks like a piece of furniture. So then you do have to go all the way around the island with the same cabinetry. These are becoming more and more popular, because the kitchen island, again, is where you gather around. This can look like a freestanding kind of a piece of furniture is what it looks like, but we still nail them in the ground and anchor them so that they don't go anywhere. And the kitchen island countertop does not have to match the main part of the kitchen. This can really stand alone and do its own thing. So that's part of the selection, the process to get everything to come together. And I don't know, I hope this is starting to make sense. All right, so just a little break in the middle here to talk about what we've done so far. So coming into CKF with an open mind, what we know is we've got to, there's a hardware selections that we have to make once we pick out our cabinets. But when you pick out your cabinets, we're gonna find out from you, do you like the wood stained? Do you like the painted cabinets? And then, do you like the frameless, or you want to be able to see the frame? If that's not a big deal to you, you can save some money. So we're going to have to deal with some countertops, and then you're going to have to pick out your faucets. And usually before you get here, you have made some selections on your appliances. Like this one here, these are refrigerator drawers. It doesn't even look like a refrigerator drawer. And there's one down below here. Or are you going to go with, this is a standard. This is a refrigerator as well. Look at this baby. Set up for Friday afternoon. Oh man. So, some people would have thought that was a pantry door. That's a refrigerator. Looks like a refrigerator. No, it's a pantry with a bunch of selections. As we look at your plans, and what I do on my houses is that I don't draw my plans out in great detail. I just kind of show where the cabinets are going, appliances, and then when you come to CKF, they take the blueprint and put them up in 3D view for you so you can see stuff. Because if you hire an architect or a draftsman, they're going to charge you a lot of money to draw all those cabinets out only for them to be thrown away and start over here when you meet with the pros here at CKF, because we're going to micromanage that. You have gone out and picked out a really nice refrigerator, but the architect or the draftsman didn't know that you wanted refrigerator drawers. So that's not in the plan. You also realize, hey, see, they have these kind of cool things next to the sink. I would like one of those, and that probably isn't on the plan. So when you come here, you're seeing all the latest and greatest, and let them draw the plans up. It's no extra cost. It's part of their job when you buy their cabinets from them. So there's a cost savings tip right there for you as well. That probably saved you $500 or $1,000 having CKF draw your plans versus the draftsman, architect, etc. All right, another thing that I just realized in these kitchens, a lot of times we're doing these big pantries. So a lot of all the groceries and all the stuff that would normally do in your uppers up here aren't even in there. You might just need those for glasses and a couple plates. Or if at my house, we have drawers all down below. All our plates are at a lower level, because what's kind of fun now is that people like to do these shelves. So you got these decorative shelves. Well, what it does, it takes away storage. The designers, people can say, well, where are you going to put your plates and dishes? Because normally they go up there. You can do a thing where instead of having a refrigerator drawer, that pulls out, and then your plates sit inside a drawer. It's easy for kids to get to. And we're also used to just putting this up because that's how we did it forever. Well, it makes more sense that if you have it on the counter, you can just put it in a drawer. They pull out. You have all that extra depth. An upper is 12 inches. And a lower, the base cabinet, is double the size, 24 inches, almost 22. So whatever you can put in here, it's twice the amount that goes up there. So keep that in mind. So that's something you can save some money and maybe add a nice look to your kitchen by not spending a lot of money with these upper cabinets. Let's keep that in mind when we work on your design. We were back talking about countertops and islands. Here is, remember, there's the 3 heights. You've got, well, your tabletop is 30 inches. Then you have the kitchen countertop heights, 36, and then this, the 42. This is the bar top height. At the bar stool, you got to get a little bit off the ground to sit here, and a lot of times they'll split them off like this. So you have the countertop here, plates up here. Why we see a lot of people going away from this is, one, it's a little hard off the ground for kids. 2, your countertop, this is probably 14 inches, and that might be 24, 26 inches. If you push this down, you get all that space to lay food out on. So these, I have found, are going away and just going down to the standard 36 countertop height all the way around, so it's more easy and functional. So I'd like to hear from you guys what you think. And again, here is that a little more affordable front. It doesn't have panels on it, but it's a fabric or a material that if you kick it, your shoes, it's not going to get dirty like drywall or dent. It's kind of a substrate type wood fake material that looks like the cabinets. So that's an example I wanted to show you on how you can save some money. Okay, here's an idea what the designers will do with you when you come. Let's say you like this space and this price point of cabinets where you're okay with seeing the back frame of the cabinet, but you don't like these doors, this style of doors, kind of a little outdated. Here is another style of door that you can use that's got a little fatter. It's more recessed in here, but doesn't have the routed out edges. And there's different colors to choose from. Maybe you don't like this light maple look, or let's say you do, but once again, you don't like this style. Here is another door that's more of a modern style, and that would go right in place of that. And if you did the same hardware, it looks fine, or you might do a black hardware. So you can easily change this all up by just going from this huge array of selections. There, see, there's the same door you like, but you want it painted. And there it is. And then they can start piecing it together. So once you make this selection, now we got to make the countertop selection. So let's say you agreed to go with this style cabinet and you like this face frame. To make things fast and easy, you'll sit this on the countertop. The gold and browns that are in there tie in with this beautifully. So you could just say, perfect, I like this countertop, but maybe you don't like this edge, and we can go fix that. But let's take one of these other panels over there and just show you the variety of colors that you'd have to have that ties in, that complements this. Because if you don't get professional help, I've seen it many times, that countertops go in and then they do a busy backsplash. All of a sudden it just gets so busy that it just gets lost. So it's important to take your time, trust the professionals, because they are not emotionally involved like you are with your house. So you have to take a step back and trust them to give you the right selections. And we'll let you know if you're making a mistake, because nothing's worse than you come back later and going, God, I hate that countertop, and it's already installed. We don't want those kind of do-overs. We'd rather have you think it through right now. So let's go see what cool countertops that we can come up with to match the style. So what you do is you take your panel with you, and then you just kind of set them up here and with the light. You want to get the kitchen light, which is what we're simulating here. And you just kind of keep going down, and they have little logos on here like F, E, and D. Those are all price points that they might say, hey, you need to stay in the F price point to be more economical. But I forget which one it is, but I'm sure there's a method as it goes up, it gets more and more expensive. But sometimes you might have to upgrade to get the right color you want. So this one here, you'll see has, well, it's got some grays in it. And when you do a house, are you doing earth tones or are you going gray tones? And that's what they'll ask, so we'll make sure it all complements. But you can see how crazy some of this stuff gets kind of funky down in here, and that gets real busy. And are you able to do your countertop and your backsplash to complement that? So that would be difficult to work with. It can be done, but you're gonna need some help. I would say in the kitchen, I would go with a square edge here, maybe a slight radius versus all these whoop-de-doos. These might be nice on a bathroom or a vanity, but in a kitchen, you want to kind of stay something kind of simple, traditional. There's a waterfall edge that you can put in. See on this cabinet right here, how the top goes all the way down and over. So more money, but what's nice, remember, you don't have to put outlets in them anymore, so that's one less cut. That saves a little bit of money. I've only done a few of these waterfalls in people's houses. I don't know if it's because of money, look, or what have you, but it works either way. All right, so this might be a designer no-no where we would need help. If we came over and said, I think I like the rope look, we would probably get a real funny look, and they would say, well, you might want to look over here. So let's do that. You can see as you spin these things around, oh my goodness. I mean, we got the glass hardware, there's the silver, we got the bronze. I mean, you can see the black looks good. This is where I tap out and let the professionals come in and make the selections, because you're going to need a pole or something, like these are poles, or you're going to want to put a knob on this. You're going to put a knob here, or you're going to put a pole. So it can go either way. Knobs are less than the poles for some reason, probably because there's less there. But again, the hardware can totally change your kitchen. If you're doing an update and don't want to redo all your whole kitchen, believe it or not, just take the hardware off, put new on, and you'll think you got a new kitchen. There's a huge savings tip for you. So back to the kitchen where say you have no uppers. If you do these big drawers, look at these things. They open up and they're super deep. So just think of all the pots and pans and dishes that you can get down in here that's easier to get access to. And if you double stack them, so you do that same amount of space, come over here and you got doors. Look at this. You gotta reach back in here. It's not as functional. This will save you a whole bunch of money in the beginning. This will cost you a little bit more, but I think you're gonna like it in the long run. So this is sometimes where you need to spend a little extra money because it becomes extremely functional. And that's a key word for in the real estate market and housing. Make your home functional, especially the kitchen, because you're there so much of the time. And that's where you need to spend the money on your house, is the kitchen, master bedroom, bath, and have a good looking front door. So we're just talking about the kitchen today. Hopefully some of the stuff we talked about is making sense. On the kitchen, the backsplash is something that complements the rest of the kitchen. And it can go a couple of different ways. For the longest time, it's been like a tile. You pick it out, the guy comes in, sets the tile. With these new onyx and quartz and different styles of countertops, what we're starting to see is people are continuing to countertop up the wall. And to keep costs down, you can see they just added a little shelf right above here and allows them to put their supplies and cooking things above it. Even though this is a showroom kitchen, and that's what they're doing, trying to show people some differences and things you can do. This is very nice, and as you can see, there's no uppers. They opt to do lights. There's plenty of room, and because there's no uppers, they incorporated what maybe like a countertop that goes clear to down to the base. Remember, this upper sits here. You lose a little bit of countertop space, but you also get additional storage. They'll have a pantry over here on this side that pulls out, so very functional. And then this would be your refrigerator kind of behind these panels. So a very nice kitchen, and you can see the use of materials. They did painted green here. They did more, I think this is a birch wood material, the hardware. And so as far as the layout of the kitchen, now let me show you if you want to go a little bit more, spend a little more money. In this very modern kitchen, is they took the countertop and they actually did a thinner edge because it's more of a modern look. And then they just took this right up the wall, all the way below the kitchen hood. And this one, this is different. They must have these new cooktops where the burners just get built right into, wow, there's no cooktop. This just sits. I'm baffled because I didn't know this stuff existed. What do you guys think about this? Where you're cooking, your countertop, there's no defined space, but I guess if it gets dirty, you just pick this stuff up, wipe it around, put it back down. Oh, that caught me off guard. As far as modern kitchens goes, which are you guys? Do you like this real modern look, you know, where the tight, that's right, that's the nice fit? Or do you okay with trying to save a little bit of money and going with more of a less concealed front? So I hope I've educated you on a couple different styles. Remember, there's different price points too on all these cabinet manufacturers, and I would recommend if you've got the little extra budget, spend it on your kitchen and then downplay the kids' bathrooms, all the other areas of the house, laundry, mudroom. They just need to be functional and look nice. You can blow your budget if you're trying to make all that stuff look nice. Spend it on the kitchen, and if you got a little left over, go to the master, do something nicer. But be careful when you're picking up kitchen faucets, because you could blow your budget there in a big hurry. So if you don't know what your faucet looks like in your house now, don't spend a bunch of money on the one in your kitchen. I've yet to have somebody ask me when I'm building them a house, what plumbing brand do you put in your homes? They just want to know what their plumbing allowance is. They're not buying my house because I have all Kohler in it, which costs more. They're also, you know, sometimes aren't really asking me what branded cabinets I put in. They just want to know it looks right. So you can do, as long as stuff looks right and the color coordinated and looks beautiful, that's the key. So pay the professionals to help you. When you come at CKF, it's already built into the price of the house. They're going to make sure everything is coordinated and looks right. You know, if you go to another box brand store, you have to trust them to make sure, like this little panel, that matches this one, because a lot of times they'll just forget this panel and it doesn't look right. So everything has to coordinate and tie together, and they draw this out in fine detail. So when you come in, we want to make it a fun process. It should not be overwhelming. Be relaxed, have an open mind, and trust the professionals. And that there is a process. We do this over and over again. So if you get it out of sync, so if you come in with the countertop that you want the whole kitchen to match over, that's kind of a difficult way. You really start with cabinets and then you work backwards into it. So in that same process we just went through, as you saw, there's a variety of hardware price points. There's a variety of countertops with the different bowl nose and edges. All those cost a little bit more money. So you don't have to have the best of everything, but just find out one of your hot buttons. I say everybody has a hot button, and might be the hot button is you want that fancy refrigerator behind doors. So you better plan on spending a lot of money, because those are like $10,000, $15,000 refrigerators, and then the cabinet panels cost more versus the one that slides in. Now, if you're building $1 million home, you don't want to slide in stainless steel refrigerator in your kitchen, because those are not what you would normally find in $1 million home. So keep that in mind. If that looks like you're saving money, and that's what you don't want to do. So reach out to me, guys. I'd like to hear what your thoughts. If you like these kind of videos, if you've been through this process, if this makes sense, if I've helped you. But what's fun about remodeling and building, if you come to a place like CKF, there you have a huge variety, and it sure puts you at ease when you can walk around and see a lot of different styles and new stuff all the time. They're constantly updating all these kitchens all the time. So give me a holler. I thank you guys for watching. I'll be posting some more as time goes on. So I'm Brad the Builder, and I'll see you guys on the next job site.